Hi, welcome back to Wilde Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
This week we talk about Exandria Unlimited, Episode 3, A Glorious Return.
Yes.
The episode that starts the adventure, as we find out at the end. But we begin where we left off, and then she very kindly fast-forwarding through them healing all of their exhaustion.
Yes.
Which means they were there 3 days, by my count?
Yes. Yes. I believe the worst one was 3.
Yeah. And they decide, maybe we shouldn't look like us when we go back into the city.
Yes.
We're sort of marked.
I just thought to myself, and I know it's a different group of players, but hearkening back to the early days of Campaign 2, gone are the days of everybody having disguised self.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that made infiltration really easy for the Mighty Nine.
Not everyone had it, but 4,
Jester,
Caleb,
and Nott.
Yeah. So 4 of the 7.
Yeah.
Made it very nice,
Yeah.
A lot easier on them.
For sure. And Darian's disguise is man bun.
Yes. Opal's is a braid.
Yeah. Fern doesn't really put on a disguise, but clips some of her hair to disguise Orin.
Yeah, to paste to Orin's head. And
she made it a performance check to apply the disguise, when really it probably should have been a disguise kit check.
And I don't think anyone has disguise kit, so
Probably not.
that would be just a charisma check, I guess.
Yeah. Or dexterity. I mean...
Yeah, depending on how you wanted to angle it.
Yeah.
I do love the fact that in the preparation for the disguise, Matt borrows Opal's dagger, makes the first roll of the game for a dirty 0.
A taste of things to come. Well, a continuation of
A
things
continuation of Matt being a player.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe he had lunch with Will Wheaton right before they started filming this at this point.
Or if those dice haven't been used since Will was on the show.
Right? They were the dice he lent to Will for the show.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been rough, man. And none of them were spared, because by the time they got to Gilmore's, I counted 5 natural ones.
Yeah.
And 2 of those were Matt's.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was rough.
And 3 if you count the one that he didn't have to take because he had advantage.
I wasn't counting that one. That was the result. So, but yeah. They decide on a distraction.
Yep.
And I want to say we got partial confirmation of our Dr. Dranzel connection.
Yes, I think so.
I don't remember specifically that character being mentioned in connection to Dr. Dranzel. But Matt had that description, the name.
I would have to go back and watch the episodes, but I think she may have been one of the people in the troop when they met up and met Kaylee the first time.
I think so, yeah.
Again, I didn't have time to go back and watch those, but I want to say that she is in Dranzel's, traveling troupe.
And where he described having met her, where she traveled, puts her still been Western area, where Scanlan met up with Vox Machina.
Yep.
So, yeah, to me, I was like, okay, this is enough confirmation for me. This is somebody's connection to Dr. Dranzel.
Yeah.
Loose though it may be, and I have to admit, currently unproven. But for me, that was okay.
Yeah. It wasn't necessarily proof for me, but it was another straw on the camel's back for me.
Fair.
But yeah, the whole disguise thing. I mean, the half orc. I'm drawing a blank on her name. The head druid of the Fire Ashari there.
Starts with an L.
Lothak?
Something like that, yeah.
Anyway, she's not fooled at all, and I'm thinking to myself, Orm's the smartest with only a 13. We have at least 2 of them with negative. Low intelligence plus bad rolls equals a foolproof plan. It's D&D math.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I loved,
both as a player and a DM, how many times have you been a part of or watched your players be sure of a ridiculous plan and then have the bad rolls to back it up?
almost as often as a genuinely good plan, and the rolls go against them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an uncommon thing in D&D.
Yeah. Their distraction succeeded. I mean, Dariax rolled good enough for the distraction.
Yeah.
And they had advantage on the stealth. And Dorian and Fern failed. And rather than just slinking off and letting the failure go as a failure, they doubled down to become part of the distraction and paint a bigger target on themselves.
Well,
and the 2 people that are going to have the hardest time blending into a crowd.
Yeah.
The Ganassi and the Satyr.
Yeah. And ultimately, by leaning into it, what they did was add the target to Dariax's back.
Yeah.
Because, there's the 2 people we're looking for. That's someone else. Wait, they're with that someone else. That's one of the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they hired that person to do something. Yeah.
Question: is that a cloak? Is that a reflavored hat of disguise?
I think so. And I kind of dig it.
I really dig it.
And as I was watching the episode, I was like, I like that it's a reflavored hat of disguise. And I started thinking about it. And I think an interesting mechanic for the hat and or that cloak of disguise is the cloak itself, the hat itself, would remain the same. Yeah. The item does not specify that.
Right.
But I think that would be a nice clue.
Yeah.
If especially like as a DM and your players are interacting with somebody that has a cloak or a hat of disguise, to be able to say, this person has the same hat as that other person you talked to.
Yeah. Or give them a perception check or look at their passive perception.
Yeah.
You notice that cloak looks very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, bros.
They killed the performance checks as well. But
yeah, the bard getting the lowest of all the performance checks.
he's proving to be an unconventional bard. In several ways. One of which is he seems to be the reasonable one of the group, or the second most reasonable one. And also, he's not a horn dog. He missed the orc woman flirting with him, and he misses Gilmore.
Yeah,
flirting with him too. Yeah, Rose, she has so much fun doing the bard thing that it occurred to me she may be playing a bard in Campaign 3.
I would love that. Yeah, Ashley or Laura, I think, would make amazing bards.
Yeah.
And I'm here. Let them both play bards. You can have the dueling banjos on the battlefield.
They could have the rock group that they joked about Jester and Yasha having.
Yeah.
Yeah. Justice for Yasha becoming a bard, yeah. But it earns them a gig and a dart in the arm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if she had a particular poison in mind. Or just a general. Because there's not many... Like most poisons either do extra poison damage, or they do some poison damage and an effect.
Right.
Very few do you just get a condition.
Yeah.
And the ones that I can think of, it's usually worse than just being poisoned.
Yeah.
It's
unconscious.
Incapacitated. Yeah. Paralyzed. Yeah.
I do want to say, point out the common social commentary of the band plays and who does it draw out? The people with drugs to use on other people, and the creepers and the creepy guys.
Yeah.
Because that's the two things that, other than them, they made some money off of it, but yeah.
But it sets off a chase, and they escape thanks to Dariax and the cloak again. Becoming the Rose.
Yeah.
The Orem is he's I don't know, because we've watched these people play a lot, so we see more of them in each character that they play, and sort of common through lines. And there was some moments of Orem's interaction with Opal and his reaction to this display.
Yeah. Especially when she's all, Nancy! He's just like, Mother! She's just like, I got to.
It was... But I was like, okay, I think I'm seeing sort of Liam here with, the shades of Vax and the shades of Caleb coming in here. And I enjoyed that aspect of that interaction for sure.
He's the lone guy herding the squirrels.
Yeah. And luckily he has Druidcraft to do it.
Yes. Which, back in the disguise, he does Druidcraft. And it clicked on me. We now know what halfling subrace Liam is.
Yep.
Out of the Explorer's Guide to Wildemount, the Lotus Den halfling who gets Druidcraft. At 3rd level, he'll get Entangle, and at 5th level, he'll get Spike Growth. And then they also have an ability where attempts to track them are made at disadvantage, and traveling through any natural woodland, tree, undergrowth, non-magical, does not hamper his movement.
Yeah.
Does not impose difficult terrain.
Yeah, so.
Pretty powerful, and they get a +1 to Wisdom. Is their attribute.
Yeah, and that non-difficult terrain from natural plants and stuff, that's like a 10th level druid ability. So,
yeah.
It's pretty big.
That halflings get out the gate, plus a cantrip, plus you have disadvantage to track me.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it seems like Liam in this campaign is the Taliesin.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is Taliesin has been the player that has played Matt's custom classes and stuff in all the other games that we've had.
Okay, yeah.
And Liam, now we know sub-race and background are both from
Matt's creation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, oh, okay. And part of me wonders if it's not, in some way, the first chance Liam has had to do any kind of proper love letter as a player to Matt's world.
See, here when you first said that, he's the Taliesin, I was thinking, not so much Mollymock, but both Percy and Caduceus were really the more
level-headed, pragmatic.
Pragmatic, wait a minute, let's think about this before we let the wild horses run, guys.
Yeah, that's also fair, yeah.
And, for both Campaign 1 and 2, Taliesin was primarily the guy that was like, let's check ourselves, let's, I mean, he's in for it if we're doing this, but are we sure this is what we want to do? Yeah. And that's very much Orem in this campaign.
Kind of makes you wonder if he goes for balls to the wall. Crazy person for Campaign 3 then.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. Also, they ended up, by my count, 2 gold, 2 silver up on the day. Getting on their way to Gilmore's.
All in copper and silver, though.
Yes. Yes. And not quite 2 pounds of coins, as Abria said it was. Because...
I think she was estimating.
Yeah, but getting it close to 2 pounds would make it mostly copper.
Given that it was just the common folk, I was assuming it would be mostly copper.
Okay. Fair. But they finally arrive at Gilmore's.
Yes.
And I don't know what I was expecting from Liam and Ashley. But I wasn't quite expecting that strong a reaction so early as she was describing the half-elf.
Well, the half-elf is a character that was there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I recognized her immediately.
Yeah.
And I thought her characterization was very well done.
Yes.
Like, if it was Matt doing that, I would expect all of the players from Campaign 1, 2, the cast, to start losing their shit the way that Liam and Ashley did. It was just interesting that it was happening with a different GM.
I know that Abria knows Exandria, but, I mean, I don't know how well she knows Exandria. Like, how much of Critical Role did she watch? I don't know. I don't know if they know. And the fact that she pulled out this character that probably only the, more long-running fans know,
And did it justice.
and did it justice is why they lost,
That's fair.
I mean, not to diminish any of the fans at all, but the ones that started with Campaign 2 or the tail end of Campaign 1 even, probably had
Would
no
not-
clue who
yeah.
she was.
Yeah.
It's only the people who
Because
have
she
either-
last appeared in just before the Chroma Conclave.
Yeah, so unless you went back and watched those, and from what I gather, most of the people who joined in Campaign 2 didn't go back and watch all of Campaign 1.
Yeah.
Or you were there from way back then and watched it.
Yeah.
So there's probably, I don't know, maybe I'd guess a good quarter, maybe third of the critter population that would have no clue of who she is.
That's fair. Yeah. I don't know, I just thought it was funny because it was like, to me, it was NPC foreplay. Because I was expecting that reaction when they met Gilmore.
Mhm.
Which we did get the full-on
Yes.
Gilmore reaction that I was expecting when we get there. It was just funny to me that it started with Gilmore's underling.
Yeah. It was her, and then we got to meet some new people. The halfling is a new addition to the staff.
Yeah. We also learned Gilmore doesn't pay commission.
Right. It's not a commission-based job.
Which is interesting in a sales position like that, in high-value items like that.
Yeah.
Generally, people do make commission.
Especially for a shop like that with the renown.
Yeah.
Generally, it's only commission.
Yeah. It was hilarious to me that Matt is the one who asked to see the manager, essentially, who asked to see Gilmore.
Yes.
And how Opal almost cost them that meeting with Gilmore. But Orem saves the day.
Yep.
And in that interaction with him saving the day and leading up to the meeting with Gilmore, I don't know how much of Keyleth Liam was sort of channeling. Because there was a lot, in some of the stuff that was happening, I saw a lot of Keyleth.
Yeah.
Especially in the negotiating for the transfer of the enchantment.
Yeah.
And he's like, you have a lot to learn about negotiating. I was like, oh, Keyleth, yeah.
Yep. Very much so.
But she threatens them about wasting Gilmore's time. And we also got Gilmore is on the Council of Tal'Dorei.
Yep.
And that it's a secret council, or he's a secret position.
Yeah.
Which I thought was strange. In the sense that the impression that we got from sort of the Chroma Conclave and Tal'Dorei stepping down was that the council would be elected, that it was sort of a representative republic.
Yeah.
Representative republics tend not to have secret representatives. Where the image that we were presented in this episode of the Tal'Dorei Council is more akin to the Lords of Waterdeep.
Yeah.
And there are open lords of Waterdeep, and there are the masked lords, and it seems like Gilmore is more of a masked lord.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was the intention.
Some elected, some appointed, some, co-opted on an annual basis.
Yeah, maybe. So, not that I think we'll get the answer to that question in this campaign.
No.
Or
I think that's when we won't get an answer. At least not until there is a full campaign set back in Tal'Dorei.
Yeah. Well, they have yet to do a political intrigue campaign, and if we're right and Marquette is where the next campaign is going to be, to me it makes sense that the next campaign is political intrigue, and it's Marquette dealing with Tal'Dorei and Wildemount and Xhorhas, because now the players will have been familiar now with both continents that Marquette is dealing with.
I can see that. I mean, I would argue that there was definitely elements of political intrigue in campaign 2.
Yes, there was, but the players were only connected tangentially. I mean, like, the players are the movers and shakers of the political intrigue, not their lackeys. They will have skin in the game, as it were. That's possible.
Yeah.
I'll take Spock's line of there always are possibilities. But Opal fangirls.
Oh, yeah.
Hard. And they are recounting what they've done to Gilmore in the time that they've known each other.
Yeah, they're very quick to tell everybody that
we murder people
and steal things.
Yeah.
And we're hired by and then backstab this up and coming thieves guild.
Yeah.
I mean, but maybe it's just my playstyle, but I usually don't open with that when I meet what seems to be an important NPC.
Yes, but it's an important NPC that you as a player know from a previous campaign.
Still no.
But yes, yeah. And I like that we've done a lot, or we've done so much. And I'm like, have you though?
And yet you're only level 2.
Yeah. And that was before, like, I had that thought before Abria said at the end of the episode, and now the adventure begins. Because I was like, have you really done a lot though?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the have you looked in a mirror? Because Dariax has the crown and the black eyes, and then Gilmore lowballs them for that vestige. 5,000?
Yes, but okay, hot take, they should have taken the offer. Yeah. They would have been they split it equally with the money they had from the platinum. They would have been able to afford everything they tried to buy and had to put back. They would have had everything they wanted. And what would they be giving up? An item that is completely unusable by 2 of them, and
4 of them.
Mechanically unusable by 2 of them, and mechanically a class detriment to 2/3 of the remaining party. Meaning only one person can effectively use it.
Which I think Ashley...
And even then, is it really a wise idea to don and attune to the thing beholden to the Spider Queen wolf?
Yeah. I get that Gilmore is neutral, and I think I struggle to remember exactly, but Gilmore's words to them about that vestige are very similar to his words to Vox Machina about some of the stuff that they had.
Yes.
And Rose, Ashley. I think Ashley is trying to snooker that out from under everybody.
Yeah, I agree. She is. And, well, I mean, she's the one who will be most effective with it.
Yeah.
She's the only one who can attune to it that it is not
going to hurt
her class ability scores.
Yeah. We get that it was supposed to be going to the Cobalt Reserve.
Yep.
Unsure as to who, but definitely going to the Cobalt Reserve. And I wonder if, like in the behind-the-scenes meta stuff that we don't get to see, if Gilmore has sent a sending to the person expecting it saying, it has been intercepted, I know who has it. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And whether or not that person shows up. I doubt it. They will. I don't think the campaign goes on that long.
Yeah.
But they're heading in that direction, so it's not impossible.
True. Yeah, my hot take, they should have sold it and taken the 5,000 golden store credit.
I also think they probably should have. I think part of the reason that they didn't is gamer logic. And they were metagaming a little bit. And, well, the DM gave us this. It's in the campaign. We probably need it. Like, I don't buy that Dorian's argument of taking Captain America's stance in Civil War of there's no better hands except ours. I don't buy that. They're level 2. They will get squashed.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from. Maybe it's just the way I run games, or maybe I've played too many games where you've run, but that logic wouldn't pop into my head.
No. I almost never do that.
You're right. Nor do I.
Yeah.
And if I do, it's probably a red herring. So my logic would be like, yeah, this is valuable. Let's get rid of it and get stuff that we can use.
Yeah. About the only time I've ever done anything like that is like key cards or keys, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like magic items and stuff, no. Not that I can think of. That are integral to the plot. Like I try to throw in stuff that's useful.
Yeah.
Or that's meaningful to the characters, but
right.
Yeah. But the DM's giving us this. This is going to be important. No. We also learned that Pasca is not an underling.
Right. I was wrong. She is a lead by example.
Yeah. And we get a taste of why that is at the end. Mm-hmm. Which I want to get to. Well, so before we get to that, Matt insight checks Gilmore.
Yep.
I love that moment. And you have advantage for meta reasons. Made me laugh. And I was prepared this episode to discuss the mechanic of inspiration and why it almost never gets used by either player or DM.
Yes.
Because it never gets used. But this episode, they were on top of using it.
Yeah.
We have it, they were going to use it. And most of it was, I think they were getting tired of all the shitty dice rolls. It's like, here's a mechanic that allows us to not be subject to this shit.
Hopefully.
Because I think it helped one person. in
Yeah.
the episode. But they do keep the circlet. And then they go shopping.
Yep.
I'm trying to decide if
And
Gilmore doesn't serve low-level adventurers. Either Gilmore doesn't serve low-level adventurers, or he was charging 250 gold for a basic healing potion. 5 times the going rate. And the reason I say I'm having trouble deciding is because of some of the background stuff that Abria has done in setting up the Nameless Ones, Pasca, and a lot of the class struggle that she's painting behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this wasn't her way of mirroring America's rising healthcare costs. Because they've gone up about 7 times over the last 30 years, which is about the gap. An interesting possibility.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. I like that.
But yeah, I was like, is he not, like, low-level people need not apply? Because currently at level 2, greater healing potions, I mean, they're not useless, but you're likely going to overheal.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be, like, if you wait till you're almost dead and drink it, you're going to be at full health again. And I don't know if that is intentional or not.
Yeah, it's the Zelda fairy in a bottle.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the biggest moment for me in the shopping. Although, mad props to Abria for doing all the math that she was doing back there as quick as she was. And I don't know, maybe some of that happened in the break and she had some of it already sort of written down and how much each person would be spending. That's possible. Because most of them seem to have their list of things already.
Yeah. But it didn't seem like she knew. Because they would say something and she'd have to look it up.
Yeah. Also, one of the things that I found funny, well, 2 things. One, everything was 500 gold if it was uncommon. So at the top end of the scale, not the bottom. And everything that was rare that they picked up was at the low end.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny. But yeah.
Yeah.
But I was impressed. And then one of the things that caught me a little off guard was after her display of arithmetic prowess. Shortly thereafter, she's like, okay, I'm done. This is no longer fun.
She held up the card.
There's conflict between her and Amy. Because Amy continues role-playing shopping. And Abria's like, did you not catch my social cues? Yeah. And I was like, And then Amy mentions, I wouldn't be my father's daughter if I didn't ask for all this stuff. And in that moment, for me, it was like Abria's meta plot that she has going on in the background, like, that crystallized and happened at the table. And Opal, Amy more than Opal, I think, represents everything that Posca hates and wants to destroy. And I think some of that came through later, kind of bled.
Yeah.
When Posca carriage jacks them.
So that was my moment, because the carriage comes to a stop. There's some talking, and it starts going again. So was it a hijacking or was it a handoff?
No, she said there was some arguing. And nobody asked, what are they saying?
I mean, that could be haggling over the price.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah. And her hitting Gilmore's carriage is also proof that she is not afraid of Gilmore.
And also that she's not a small timer, just starting out. Because
Fair.
if you're not afraid of Gilmore and you're going to hijack his carriage, you're not a small timer starting out. Either that or you got more balls than brains.
Yeah.
But if she's on the map enough that Gilmore knows of her organization, I'm guessing it's not the latter.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I think if this campaign were to continue, the second chapter may be taking out the nameless ones.
Yeah.
Or doing their best to do that. Or joining them. Because I was thinking about it in retrospect after the carriage heist. And her describing the young, the old. Like, basically, all the people disenfranchised and ignored are her crew. That I was like... Because at first I was confused as to why she made the pitch to join them, other than as a means to get them to go to the ship. But now I don't know. Maybe there's something there that she wanted them to genuinely join.
Yeah.
This is triggering for me. I've been poor before. I kind of felt for him there.
Yeah.
I think I've only had to put stuff away once.
Yeah. I mean, I've done it in the past. I've had to do that, but
yeah.
So yeah, I could feel that. I know that sheepishness of, oh, can I put that one back then?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because not only are you holding up the line, you're admitting that you're poor. You're causing someone extra work because you can't do math in your head, or forgot to do math in your head.
Yeah. Liam's cool whip and whip.
Yes, I love that. And I just sold up a tub.
It's a different kind of whip. Yeah.
And you could almost track who got it first, second, third, you know?
Yeah.
Since I've been arguing with myself for a minute whether to say it or not.
And Fern's, I got all my stuff for free.
Yeah.
I wonder if she does have sticky fingers.
And she did keep the flute.
Yeah. And a little bit,
Oh, I didn't even know I had that.
I had a little bit of flash of Tasselhoff
Yes.
in that moment.
Huge for me.
Yeah.
But
So you got it too.
Dragonlance is one of my jams.
Yeah. So yeah. But he trades her a pan flute for his flute
Yes.
that he says is a family heirloom. Which is an interesting possibility.
Well, the unconventionalness of the bard that he is, the flute being a family heirloom, and also being the handle to his hand axe, the sword and the lute, all just reinforce my speculation that he is going to go sword bard.
Yeah. Well,
for me, it just fits neatly.
I mean, Valor is still a possibility, but
yeah.
Charm person. Oh, well, my joke for the pan flute was because Fern says that she's proficient with the dulcimer.
Yes.
Which I thought was an interesting choice, and I would like at some point to be able to pick that for Ashley to pick that apart for us.
Yeah.
Why that? Other than it's an instrument on that list that we haven't seen in the campaign.
Yeah.
And
satyrs get a musical instrument.
Yeah.
Racially.
But my joke was the pan flute is the dulcimer for the mouth.
Yeah.
Because it's basically, if you think about it, the dulcimer, vertical strings, you play with hammers. Pan flute, vertical pipes, you play like this.
Yeah.
It's a bad joke.
But not inaccurate.
And this, the carjacking, they're discussing it, and she's like, I can hear you. Which is something that not every DM does.
Yeah.
Including Matt. Matt doesn't often do that.
No.
Even when, in theory, he could.
There's nothing magical about this.
Yeah. And you see the effect that has at the table. Just ratchets the tension up. No, there's no planning going. You don't get to plan the secret. They're hearing everything you say.
Yep.
And now it's like, and Amy admits after Ashley casts Charm Person that she would have already
if she had magic.
If she had her magic. And it's interesting that she hasn't tried to get it back yet. I wonder if that's going to be something that happens on the trip.
Well, if they are headed back nearby Roden,
yeah,
where she's from, it could very well be. I would just like to point out, Charm Person is pretty damn powerful if you charm the right person. They were outnumbered, what, 40 to 5?
25.
Okay, 5 to 1.
Yeah.
But you charm the leader.
Yes, but the thing about that scene for me, and why I think it didn't happen the way that I'm saying it could have right now, is because Abria wanted to get her adventure started.
Yes.
Which is, you charm the person. They are your ally. Posca turns to her people and says, kill the others, leave the fawn.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Abria's narration of the charm person this time. How she could tell behind that thin veneer that Posca was like seething with rage.
Yes.
And not just because she was in the losing position, but because of this violation of her free will.
Yeah.
Which Abria touches on as sort of a side comment earlier in the episode about magic and consent being weird when Gilmore goes to cast Lesser Restoration to remove Fern's poison condition. And they sort of brush past it. But when I heard it, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when that happened at the end, I was like, oh, okay. This is interesting. It's an interesting space to be in. I don't know if more will come from that. Probably, because now we see 3 of them have Charm Person.
Yeah.
So, and 2 of them, it's a known spell, not a prepared spell. So it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I also decided to be absolutely wrong this week and say we will not be leveling up. Because we've been wrong about them leveling up thus far. And
yeah.
I don't know that it's going to happen.
Well,
a lot of what I believe what we discussed is correct, that this seemed to have the space to do that 2 to 5 arc. But I don't know.
Well,
because if episode 4 they get 3rd level, that leaves 5 and 6 for 4th, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like 3 levels to get to level 2, and then 2 episodes to get to level.
Yeah.
I mean,
although I think she's doing milestone.
Yeah, that's fair. But again,
and if this starts the adventure, those milestones are going to wrap up quick.
Fair. Yeah. Which also harkens back to, have you done a lot?
Even if it's 4, 6, 7, and I know that's a huge jump, and would only happen because they need to be level 5 to do my end boss, or even 4, 6 at the break in 8, they level up just for the final battle.
Yeah.
So it's still possible, but they're cutting it thin.
Yeah. And I was thinking,
if they don't level up, it's not going to be a 5th level campaign.
Yeah. And I was thinking about it, and it seems a terrible travesty to have new players and to not give them that leveling up experience. So I think it will happen, but in the interest of we've been wrong thus far, we thought it was going to happen this episode. I figured I would say it's not going to happen next episode. Just so when it does, I can be wrong then too.
I'm going to stick with it's going to happen, because eventually I'll be right. Unless it's a level 1 to 2 campaign.
Yeah. Gilmore's cart, I think, is going to cause them potentially more trouble. And I think Posca now is like Marcellus Wallace and Butch level animosity. Like, how far do you want to go? I'm willing to go to the ends of the earth for this fucker.
Yeah.
If they go to China, I want someone in a bowl of rice ready to pop a cap in their ass.
Okay.
I think that's how much Posca hates them. And someone's going to be on their tail.
Yeah. And they don't have the most inconspicuous mode of transportation. Although I'm like, is this the new flying carpet?
No.
In a desperate attempt to escape, they take something that belongs to a council member and keep it for themselves.
Okay, in that sense, maybe.
I mean,
maybe. Which would mean it's going to get damaged and unraveled. Whether that means just the horse gets killed or the wheels come off.
Which, let's be honest, this is a D&D game and they have pets that are not class feature pets.
Yep.
Either it is going to end up a class feature pet a la Sprinkle, or it is going to die a la the Moorbanders.
Well, technically the Moorbanders didn't die, they were just abandoned.
That we know of.
But every horse that either campaign has ever had has died.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Professor Thaddeus and just GTFO. I mean.
Yeah. Which is why you shouldn't bother to spring for a war horse or a riding horse. Just buy them. If you need a pack animal, spend the 8 gold, get a donkey.
Or splurge and get a bag of holding.
If such a thing is available.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't see how them having the carriage is going to be a positive for them in the long run. Because it's not going into the jungle.
No. It's going to draw attention. It's going to be conspicuous. It's going to be easy to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there is something magical about it. You know.
What do you mean, Rose, by putting the blame on Gilmore? Oh, because it was his carriage that...
No, she talking about they said Gilmore has the circlet.
Well, no, they have the circlet. They kept it.
Right, but they told Posca they sold it to Gilmore.
Oh,
and then Liam had to be like, dude, just so you know, we kind of threw you under the bus. People may be coming for you.
Yeah, and I think it's part of the...
And, I mean, Fern did enter charm person, you're going to leave, but that only works while the charm lasts.
Yeah.
Once you stop concentrating or the spell ends...
Like, Posca said that she could get at Gilmore, and she's like, everybody has to sleep. Yeah, that's true, but Gilmore doesn't sleep here in Taldor. He sleeps on another continent. You got a way to get there? No? Yeah. Then shut the fuck up. Oh, Rose, yeah, I didn't think about that. That Matt, just to prevent Gilmore from getting killed off screen, showed the crown.
Yeah.
For no other reason than Matt wants to save Gilmore, rather than anything that Dariax wants.
Yeah.
Possible, yeah. And I mean, he has been, well, he fairly strongly committed to help Orem do whatever Orem wants done. And Orem said, take the heat off Gilmore. So,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't think Posca is a threat to Gilmore.
No. To Gilmore directly, no. To Gilmore's glorious goods, possibly.
Yeah, they could just burn that place down.
Or take it out on the staff.
Yeah. Yeah, they could kill any number of the staff.
Especially if I'm right and the arguing was haggling over price and she's got Cuthbert in her pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be what she meant by I can get to Gilmore. I've got an inside man.
Yeah, and that could also be a way that she fences stuff.
Yeah.
Is that inside person. Yeah.
Could be how she knew, since Gilmore knew where the circlet was going, we assume. Could be how she knew about the circlet even being around to hijack.
Yeah.
So, all that going back to what I said earlier, I think it was more a handoff than a hijack.
Yeah, you might not be wrong. So does that mean Posca becomes Belloc on their heels after the same artifacts? Or is this we wait until they come back? Yeah, so that works, Rose, that works in a meta sense. The ring that they agreed didn't know. But I think that was just a leftover. Because I think, if memory serves, Travis asked about that ring at one point.
Yeah, I think you're right now that you said that.
So I think that was just in Matt's
inventory
in his D&D Beyond account.
Yeah, because she's like, we didn't make it. Someone might have just left it here, so you can have it for 600.
Yeah, and I think the instructions were anything in here you guys can buy.
Yeah.
Or of this rarity you can buy. Which is why all the uncommons were 500 and all of the rares were 1,000.
Yeah.
Because that was the arrangement with the players. So yeah, I think that's all that was. But in a meta sense, that could also be it. In any case, we will find out more Thursday.
Yep.
I'm rebuilding my machine. If I get it built, I might stream something Friday. I'll try to, just so that you guys know that it's working. But if it doesn't work, I don't know what we're going to do next week on Tuesday. I'll keep you posted. Imperator _DF on Twitter. See you guys.